Remind us, why exactly did Israel go to war with the Islamic Republic of Iran?
But in our case, we went to war because we knew that if we didn't, we'd end up dead. Iran was rushing to develop nuclear weapons. They could have had one within a year. They were rushing to develop thousands, tens of thousands of ballistic missiles, each weighing a ton, coming down at Mach 8. That's 8 times the speed of sound, right? It's like a bus full of explosives with unbelievable devastation. Now think of 20,000 on that in a country the size of New Jersey. You don't survive that. So we had to act. It's like taking out 2 lumps of cancer. Now, you know the cancer could come back, but you know something. If you don't act, you're not going to be around. So that we did it, and there was great unity of purpose. It wasn't that easy. If you'd like, I'll tell you more about it.
What was Israel's situation leading up to its attack in the early morning hours of Friday, 13 June? In the years before that attack, what had Israel done to thwart Iran's nuclear ambitions?
Isn't the reason that they didn't have one earlier is because on multiple occasions you stopped them?
Well, we delayed them. Mm-hmm. You know, I can speak about it openly now. We took out quite a few of their scientists, not their senior scientists like we did now, but scientists. We did other things, all sorts of disruptions. I'm not going to get into that, but we probably held them back for about a decade. They were supposed to be a decade ago where they are now. But when we smashed the Iran axis, when we hit Hamas very hard, all their proxies, really brought Hezbollah in Lebanon to its knees, collapsed the Assad regime, their whole axis was smashed. That was their plan to destroy Israel by surrounding us with all their proxies and invading us simultaneously. Again, we're bigger than Rhode Island, I have to say this, but that's about it, you know. We're about the size of New Jersey, and they would strangle us and kill us. And we broke through that. So now what did they do? They understood they have only one other way to destroy Israel, and that's to race for nuclear weapons. They had enriched uranium, okay? But they needed to have the weapon. Enriched uranium is like gunpowder, okay? They needed to have the bullet and the thing that detonates the bullet, okay? And that's called weaponization. They rushed to weaponize after the fall of Hezbollah and the collapse of the Axis. And we could see that. We said within a year, they'd have an atomic bomb, and they'd use it. Unlike other nuclear powers, they'd actually use it, and they'd wipe us out. So we didn't go through 3,500 years of Jewish history, the great odyssey over time, in which we lost our land, were dispersed among the nations, and came back and gathered the exiles, rebuilt our independence in our ancestral homeland. And this is going to end because of these mad ayatollahs who chant death to Israel, death to America. They want to destroy us because then they conquer the Middle East, then they go after you. Well, we were not going to let that happen. And I, as the Prime Minister of the one and only Jewish state, I wasn't about to let it happen. So we made the decision to act, and we acted, and we won. But it's not over. It's never over.
What about U.S. President Donald Trump? How does Netanyahu and much, if not most, Israelis regard him?
With Donald Trump, it sounds like he was ready to roll. You have a long relationship with him, a very close relationship with him. And he, both cerebrally and just in his gut, he knows right from wrong. And he supports the Jewish state. I
think he supports the Jewish state. We've never had a friend like him in the White House. That's an understatement. I mean, he's remarkable. He really is. I mean, the conversations we have with him, you know, first of all, he's got a tremendous sense of humor. People don't know that. I mean, he really can rock you to the ground. It's so funny. But he cuts to the chase, and he cuts through the fog, and he says things that people sort of skirt around, but he gets to the main issue right away. And he said that very clearly. I mean, when Sarah and I went to see him in Mar-a-Lago before the election, he said, if we get elected, we have to make sure these guys don't have atomic bombs because they'll use them. And he was quite deliberate about that. And basically, he didn't abandon that view. He stuck to it. I think he understood also that this is a terrible threat to the United States because they weren't only developing nuclear weapons, they were developing the missiles to carry them across great distances and ultimately to Washington and New York and Philadelphia and Miami, you name it, okay? That's the danger that you'd have. A regime that chants death to America, that's killed and injured thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan through their IEDs, explosive devices, that bombed your embassy, that burns your flag, that tried to assassinate President Trump twice. By the way, they tried to assassinate me once. And they just put a price on our head. I'm offended by the amount, and it should be high. But I mean, this is ridiculous. These are the enemies of America sworn to your destruction. And of course, President Trump understands that. He understands that our enemy is your enemy and that our victory is your victory. But he went further than that. He changed American policy. He said, if this is our common enemy, we can have a common victory. And after we did the beginning, and he did the end. And it was a tremendous end. I mean, these B-2 pilots are amazing. The decision to use them with precision and with great force was a tremendous decision. And I think that not only helped us in the Middle East against Iran, I think it helped project American power and resolve around the world. It's a different America. It's the America that I think the entire free world has actually longed to see, and we're seeing it now. So I think the Iran issue, people said, oh, you're going to have World War III, you're going to have China and Russia and thousands of casualties and boots on the ground and all, and this nonsense. You hear it. Where's this coming from? Well, I think I know where it's coming from, but it was folly. It was nonsense. Here was judicious, precise application of power. No daylight between Israel and the United States. No daylight between an American president and an Israeli prime minister. In teamwork that has never been seen. The president said that, and I, having worked with quite a few American presidents, I can tell you he's absolutely right. So it's a remarkable achievement, and it's great for Israel, obviously. It's great for the Middle East, for the future of peace and prosperity, and I think it's very good for America. And if it's good for America, it's good for the world, certainly good for the free world, of which we are an integral part.
In light of Israel's success in dampening, if not defeating, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the terrorist regime in Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Hamas in Gaza, what positive developments are in play for Israel in the Middle East?
Let's look at the region here in the Middle East. Almost everything's changed now. I mean, Syria, the efforts of your government, Assad is gone. There's a new government. We're not sure what that government's like, but the president's giving it a shot. You're giving it a shot. You're hoping for the best. Lebanon, because of what you did to Hezbollah, looks like they have a new birth of freedom. We'll see how that goes. Looks like Saudi Arabia wants in. People need to realize in our country, Saudi Arabia was no friend of Iran, that's for sure. You're starting to see in the Middle East, well, power matters in the Middle East. And if you're victorious, that matters even more. And so we're starting to see movement in the Middle East now. Are you having countries, you don't have to name them, sort of back-channeling, saying we want better relations, we want to work with Israel and so forth?
That's an understatement. That really is an understatement. Channels, side channels, open channels, secret channels. You remember President Woodrow Wilson's statement going into the Versailles Peace Conference in the earlier 20th century? He said, I believe, he said, in open covenants openly arrived at. I have an amendment. I believe in open covenants secretly arrived at. That increases the chances that we'll expedite these amazing peace possibilities, and we're working on it. I'm working on it with President Trump. We're working on it together. Our teams are working on it. Yeah, the possibilities are great because, we both subscribe to the doctrine of peace through strength, okay? So first comes strength, then comes peace. But we have to keep Iran in check.
Is regard for these positive developments Pollyannish?
You sound very optimistic right now. You're optimistic.
I'm never Pollyannish.
No.
I'm optimistic. But I don't see the world through rose-colored spectacles. I see it the reality. We've won a great victory, and that can produce terrific growth. The victory of the Allies over the Nazis produced tremendous growth for the West and in Europe. Tremendous. All right? And that's happening right now. But, nothing is guaranteed unless you safeguard your success.
If you are not yet a subscriber to endtimes.com and would like to see the rest of this important report and others like it, I urge you, subscribe right now at the website endtimes.com. For only $7 a month, you will receive a wealth of information and insight from Jimmy Evans, Mark Hitchcock, and experts from around the world, including Israelis living right here in the Jewish state. Do yourself a favor. Sign up today